But, that is not where we start today's show, because we have an exciting Big 12 championship game to talk about. We have a exciting Cardinals game to talk about with their season on the line. We have picks to make. We have a lot of fun things to do here on the show. But unfortunately, this program has to start where it normally starts, and we have to be disappointing. We have to be disgusted. So that is where we will start with today's Daily Special.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
You can't lose that basketball game last night. It's as simple as that. It is as simple as that. You cannot lose to a 4-18 team. I don't care that Kevin Durant is on the sideline. I don't care that he's out for the next couple of games at least. I don't care. You have to win that basketball game. And it is just one game in what is going to be an 82-game season for the Phoenix Suns. That is the worst loss of the season. And that game in particular last night tells us everything we need to know about this basketball team. They are the same team that they were a year ago. This is the same team. They may have changed who the point guard is. They may have been able to add some depth to the bench. They are the same exact basketball team. They are not a team that you need to put your full faith and belief into. This is not a basketball team that should be discussed as one of the upper echelon teams in the Western Conference. I don't care how good it looks when all three guys are together on the court. Last night's game told us everything we needed to know about this basketball team. So my message to you here today on a Friday, and I promise you, the promise that I will make to you, the listener of this show right now, is we're going to talk about this now to start the show. We're going to get all the anger and the frustration out right here in this next couple of minutes. And then we are going to focus on all of the teams that are worthy of being talked about here on a Friday. An ASU team that's playing for a Big 12 title. A Cardinal team that has a game with playoff implications, the biggest game in the Jonathan Gannon era as head coach here. That's where we're going to put our focus, on the picks, where we're 4-2 last week, already off to a 1-0 start this week. That's where our focus is going to be here today on the program. It is not going to be on this basketball team that lost that game last night, that had an 11-point lead at halftime and blew that lead. And nobody stepped up in the fourth quarter. We said, Bradley Beal, this is your moment to step up. We expect Devin Booker to step up. Nobody stepped up for this team in crunch time in the fourth quarter, and they lose on the road 126-124 to a basketball team that is now, with the victory, 5-18. That's the team you lost to tonight. And I'm sorry, I am not going to accept for this team the excuse that Kevin Durant is on the sideline, is on the shelf. You are too talented. Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, you have talent. You have the ability to win that game against that team. You weren't facing the Warriors. You weren't facing the Knicks. You weren't facing the Cavs. You weren't facing the Mavs, one of the upper echelon teams in the NBA. The Thunder, last night went on the road, played a 7-15 Raptors team, blew them out 129-92. They took care of business against a team they were supposed to beat. What did you do? You played a closely contested game and you lost. That is unacceptable. That cannot be the product. That cannot be the results that this team puts on the court. We said bare minimum yesterday, this team needed to go 2-1 or 3-0 in this stretch. This was their opportunity. This was their moment to show us that even if guys are on the shelf, when two of the three are on the floor together, things can get done. This team can win basketball games. Now, you got to beat the Heat and you got to beat the Magic to make it to 2-1, to wash the bad taste out of our mouths for what we saw last night in this basketball game. You cannot explain that game last night. You cannot explain to me. There's no good reason. 480-864-1060. There is no good reason why the Phoenix Suns lost that basketball game last night to fall to 12-9. It doesn't exist. I will not accept Kevin Durant's injury as a reason why this team lost that basketball game last night. I will not. This team's supposed to be better than this. They're better coached. They're deeper. They solved all the problems that they had a year ago. You cannot lose this basketball game. And I don't want to hear that it's one game. It is a small sample size. They're now 1-2 when it's Beal and Booker this season with Durant on the shelf. Yes, they didn't have Yusuf Nurkic, but there's a lot of people in this town, in this community, that are doing everything in their power to get a one-way ticket for Yusuf Nurkic to be out of Phoenix. He's not viewed as a player that this fan base thinks is going to be around for the entirety of the season. There are a lot of think pieces. There's a lot of conversation about the idea of Yusuf Nurkic being a trade piece to help this team make a move around the deadline. I just don't know what you want me to do with that game last night, other than be extremely critical and tell you all, I'm good. I'm good. I am setting the expectations for this team moving forward about as low as you can get. They're not different than last year. The changing of the coach didn't do anything. You cannot explain to me how you lose that basketball game. And everybody has a bad night in the NBA, but you're playing a 4-18 team in a stretch that you have to have, because you got to show everybody that you are different. Because what's going to change? If Durant comes back and everybody's healthy again, we're all going to be waiting. We're all going to be on the edge of our seat, always wondering in the back of our head when the next injury is going to pop up, when we are once again going to be watching a basketball team when one member, at least, of the big three is not on the floor. That is the cloud that is always going to hang over this team. And with that cloud comes now the sample size that we've seen that if one of these guys is missing, specifically Kevin Durant, but also Bradley Beal missing time, they can't win enough games. Because if you can't beat the Pelicans, if you can't win that game, am I supposed to all of a sudden think that you can beat the top teams in the Western Conference? The Pelicans were on a 9-game losing streak. 9-game losing streak. You last played 2 days ago. It wasn't a back-to-back. You were at home. You traveled. And against a team that got Brandon Ingram back for the first time in a 5-game absence. So hasn't played in 5 games, so you would expect him to be maybe slow to return to the lineup. Herb Jones, who was in his first game back from a shoulder injury, and he's able to block the last-second shot by Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns, who shouldn't have even, I don't care about the defensive play that Herb Jones was able to make. You should not have allowed that game to be that close. Even if it was a tiny victory. Yeah, we would be excited that they won the basketball game, but we would have come in here and talked about a team. Why is it that close against a 4-18 team? Why is it that close? So I'm throwing my hands up in the air again, but what I'm telling you right now is the expectations for this team have been lowered. I'm not doing it. I am not going to talk to you about, oh, but look at how good it was when they were all healthy. No, we're good. I'm good. You got to prove it to me over a long enough sample size for me to forget all of this, because we say something on these airwaves, we talk about something on this show, and within 24 to 48 hours or a game or two, everything gets re-upended. So we're not going to do this. They got to show it to us for a longer stretch of time. They have to show to us that this team is different, because so far they have not been able to pass that test. I'm good. The rest of this show is not going to be consumed with that bad basketball game last night. It's not. Because that game should have told you everything you needed to know about this team. It's not worthy of your trust. It's not worthy of your belief. Not right now. Not on December 6th. Maybe we reevaluate in February. Maybe we reevaluate in March. Maybe. But between now and the end of 2024, I'm good.